Hello everyone, happy Purim. We're learning today Mציעא Daf Gimel. We're going to start about 7 lines down by Toshma Kukre Shel Nachton. So we had a machloikes if Simon or Osi Lidoris have a Simon or Lo have a Simon. Simon or Osi Lidoris means a Simon that's stepped on, and then after it's stepped on, it goes away. So in such a case, if the person miyash or not, says like more, let's bring a right. So Rabbah said it's not a simon, and Rava said it is a simon. Said like more, Toshma, come and listen. Kikro shenachto merelu sheloi, hoshel balabais, or if it belongs, that it's not from a public bakery, it belongs to a private person, this bread. So chayav la'achris, shel balabais, my time, or what's the reason if it's a private person's bread, you have to give it back? Kevin those besimin, the Mayday Yodia, Rifta the Inishu, people recognize the bread. Each one has his own type of bread that he makes. It doesn't matter if it was in a public place. We have a cash on rabba because the simon that people recognize, this is my bread. If people step on it, so the simon goes away. And I feel like you would say, so you can see simon also have a simon. Because it's forbidden to step on bread, and therefore people won't step on it, and therefore the simon won't go away. As the Gemara Varika Nochrim, but there's goyim who are not makbid on this. So the Gemara Nochrim Chayshilik Shofim Nochrim think that if you step on a bread, it's going to do them a bad kishuf. Therefore, they don't give it back, but they don't step on it. So therefore, the simon stays. As the Gemara Varika Beimo Klovim who are not makbid about Shofim or Imavrim Aloichlim. So the Gemara Ba'asra Deloish Chicha Beimo Klovim. Our mission that's mashma that kikor shel balabais chayv la'achris is talking about in a place where there's no animals that step on it, and therefore it's not simin also lidoris. So the Gemara leima ketanoi l'chor this machlokes of simin also lidoris have a simin or not is a machlokes tanoim. It says in our Mishnah, in the first Mishnah in the Mitzias Rabbi Yehuda oima kol davar sheyesh b'shinui chayv la'achris. Anything that has a change in it, you have to give it back. Ketzad, what's the case? What's the igul? He found a circle of figs, and it has a piece of earthenware inside. Kika, a loaf of bread with and money in it. Michal the Tanekama Sova. Tanekama will argue on that. You don't have to be machris. So Vura, Sabnei Yeshiva 4, to kula al masimin abomel of abasimin. A simin where you didn't specifically put it, that could happen by chance, like over here, coins in a bread, or even when the dvela, it's considered a simin. And people do step over bread, not like what we said before. What's the machloikis between Ramea and Tanekama and Rabbi Yehuda? Ma'asova lo have a simin. Tanekama holds it's not a simin, and that's why you don't have to give it back like Rabba. Ma'asova l'chor Rabbi Yehuda holds the chayv la'achris have a simin, and l'chor the machloikis Rabba and Rabba is the machloikis Rabbi Yehuda and Tanekama. Says the Gemara, Amar Zid Mishmei Rava. No. Isal kedai toch the kosova Tanekama simin also lidoros le'ave simin. If you want to tell me that Tanekama holds that simin also lidoros is not a simin, and people go over the bread. Kikor shel balabais b'rshus rabbi mamay rachris. Why is mashma in the Mishnah kikor shel nachton is yours, but shel balabais chayv la'achris? If people step on bread, and simin also lidoris lo have a simin, so why are you machris? It's simin also lidoris. Elam avzud mishmei derava. The kulam savri simin also lidoris have a simin. Everyone holds like Rava that simin also lidoris is yes considered a simin. And people do go over the bread. The machlokes is when a simin that's not intentionally put there, is that considered a simin or not? Tanekama holds a reilu shelo yisava simin b'maylo v'lo have a simin. Rabbi Yehuda sava have a simin, and that's the machlokes between them. If simin abomeilov is it a simin or not? Rabba won't like that because then everyone holds simin also lidoris have a simin. So what's the machlokes over here? He says the kol alma simin also lidoris lo have a simin, like what he holds. They in mavrim alochim, and people don't go over food. V'hocha, what's the machlokes? The simin abomeilov kamiflagi, and the machlokes is like we said before, a siman abomelev, a siman or not, Tanakama Sova lo have a siman, Rabbi Yosef have a siman. And the difference, how Rabbah and Rava explain the Mishnah, do we say Mavrim Aloichlim? Rava says Mavrim Aloichlim, and therefore it's Siman Asiludoris, and everyone hold like him. And Rabbah holds no, ain't Mavrim Aloichlim, and that's why it's not Siman Asiludoris. And the Machlokes is if Siman Abomelev is a Siman or not. Ikeda Amri. Some people learn this sugya a bit different. What's a basic understanding? At the beginning here, we took on one thing, and then we asked kashas. We said this is a machlokes. The Ikedamar learns a bit different. Savura de kulam siman abomelev ave siman. Everyone hold that siman that comes by itself is a siman. The siman also lidoris lo have a siman like Rabbah. My love, what's a machlokes? B'mavirim aloichlin. Komiflige de masov amavirim. Tanekama holds mavirim, and therefore it's siman also lidoris, and therefore arelu shaloi. Masova in Marvirim, and therefore it's not Siman or Solidoris, and therefore it's a good Siman, and therefore Chayav La'achris. Omar of Zid Mishmei Derova, Isal Kedai Tachsova Tanekama, Siman or Solidoris lo have a Siman, if you can explain that this is Pshat, and Siman Lidoris lo have a Siman, Umarvirim aloichlim, and people go over oichlim, Kikur Shel Balabais, Bershus Rabbi Mamai Machrir is, what's Pshat in Kikur Shel Balabais? Why should he be Machris? It's Siman Asiludoris, and Siman Asiludoris lo have a siman. Elomar of Zid Mishmei Derova, the Kula al Masover Siman Asiludoris have a siman, like Rava. Umavirim aloichlim, and people go over the oichlim, and that's why it's Asiludoris. V'oche b'siman abomelev komiflige, and the machlokes between Tanekama and Rabbi Yehuda is a siman that comes by itself, is a siman or not. Tanekama saw a siman abomelev lo have a siman, Rabbi Yehuda saw have a siman. Rabba Omar lecho, no. The Kulal Masiman also the Doris lo have a siman, like what I hold. Vein Mavrim aloichlim, and you don't step over oichlim, that's why it's not siman also the Doris by the bread. And this case, V'hoche, what's the machlokes, the siman abomelev, siman that came by itself, komiflige Tanekama sova siman abomelev lo have a siman, that's why it's a real shloi, but Rabbi Yosef have a siman, and therefore Chayav La'achris. Omar of Zid Mishmei Derova, Klola da Aveda, to a rule in Aveda, Kevin do Omar Levaili Lichisor kiss. Oi, doesn't matter, I lost it, what can I do? Miyayish Lemine, that is considered, when someone says Vaili Chisor kiss, it's considered that he was Misyayish from the item, and if you find it afterwards, you're allowed to take it. Omar Zid Mishmei Derova, Hilchisa, the halacha is krichos, bundles, Bershus Rabbi Marelu Shaloi. If it's in a public place, it depends. Because he lost it. And both if these kriches have a simin, why? Because the simin is considered a simin, even though that's Asiludoris, and it's Rova Letame holds simin Asiludoris have a simin. Says the Gemara Daf Gimel Amud Beis. It's like a string with a few fish on it, and it's tied. Ask the Gemara, why is the type of knot that he used not considered a simin? Why did it say in the Mishnah Aryeh Shaloi? Says the Gemara, it's talking about a knot of fishermen, the that they all use the same knot, so therefore the type of knot is not similar because they use the same knot. For the Gemara, have a minion simin. The minion, how many fish he has on this bundle should be a simin. So the Gemara, that they all put on, let's say, 10 fish, so it's not simin. But if someone had a specific amount of fish on it different than anyone else, so then it will be a simin. Boy, my name is Rav Sheishes. They asked Rav Sheishes the Shaila, minion have a simin or have a simin, knowing the amount of fish or whatever item it is, that's not usual amount, is that considered a simin or not? Omalu, Rav Sheishes Tanisua, we learned it in the Brisa, Motzikli Kesa, if someone found silverware, the kleine choishes, copperware, pieces of ava, it's a type of metal, the kolkli matocho is any metal, Aryeh lo should not give it back until he gives a simin, or until he says how much it weighs. If we see the weight of an item is considered a simin, midah, the size, minyan, how many, nami have a simin. So Rav Sheshes was poishet, the minyan is considered a good simin. It said in the Mishnah, Chaticho shel balsa, pieces of meat is not considered a simin, and Aryeh shaloi, correct the Gemara, my lava mishkala simin. The Chor should say, I found a piece of meat, and the one who lost it, say, it weighs 178 grams, and that should be a simin. So the Gemara by mishkala deshavim, that it's all the same size of pieces of meat and weight. The piece should be a simin, oide dafka, if it comes from the neck of the cow, oide atma, or from the leg. Miloi Tanya, did we not learn in the Brisa, Motza Chaticho shel dogim, found pieces of fish, v'dag nochshuch, a bitten fish, chayv la'achriz. And we understand now why you machriz, because a guy could say, yeah, it was the head of the fish, the tail of the fish, etc. So we could see what part of the fish that is a simin. Continues the Brisa, Chavir shel yain v'shel shemen v'shel tvor v'shel grugers v'shel zeisim arelu sheloi, barrels of wine, of oil, of wheat, of figs, and of olives. There's no simin, and shaloi soon we're going to discuss this case. But the question is, you could see that by fish, a piece is a fish. Why by meat is it any different? The Brisa where it says a piece is a fish, you have to give it back. Somehow with the simonim in the Pascha, it means that it wasn't cut in a normal way, it was cut in a very unusual way. Like Rabba, the son of Rav Huna, Machtichle, he'd cut the fish at Losa Karnasa like a triangle, like Rashi has a picture of it. They canami dictated the diagnostic similar to a bitten fish. Mami, no, like a bitten fish is an unusual way. So also the pieces of fish is also an unusual way. But if it's an unusual way, just to say that it's the tail of the fish I lost, or the head of the fish, that's not considered enough of a simin that you should give it back to the person, and therefore the din is by chaticha shel basar arei lushaloi. We just learned in the Brisa, Chavir shel yain v'shel shemen v'shel tvor v'shel grugers v'shel zeisim arelu sheloi. All these type of barrels, it's his. Votnan, what we learned in the Mishnah, kade yain, small barrels of wine, of kade shemen, of oil, chayv lachris. What's the difference? Omar Bzera, Omar Rab, masnisim beroshim. The Mishnah where it says that chayv lachris is talking about where it's sealed in a very specific way. And therefore, that's a simin. Says the Gemara, Michal, the Brisa be'patuach. The Brisa means that it's open barrels without no lid whatsoever. For sure, you could keep it. It's like you threw it away. It's going to get damaged sitting there open with no lid on side. No, it's somehow it has a lid on, but it's not sealed, and therefore it's not aveda midas. But there's no simin, and therefore arei lushaloi. Abaye Omar afilu teima idi ve'idi b'roshim. Both the Mishnah, both the Brisa can be talked about where there is, it's sealed. Is before the time when people open the barrels, and therefore if one guy opened it and then he resealed it, so it's a simin because it's unusual. So everyone opened it and resealed it, so there's no simin because it looks all the same. Yehoder Rav Yaakov bar Abba, Ashke Chavisa de Chamer, he found a barrel of wine, it's also the Kameda Abai, Zil Shkoyle Nafshach, go take it to yourself, because that is Roshum, is not simin anymore, because all the barrels are Roshum now. And that's Abai Letame. Boy Minei Rabibim Rav Nachman. Mokim have a simin or loy have a simin. If I find something that doesn't have any simin, and I announce I found a bicycle, let's say, and the guy will tell me, yeah, I lost it in this point, in this Nikuda, in this part of the street, is that considered a simin or not? I have a brisa, if you think the place where you found it is considered a simin, you should announce, I found something, and the person should come and say where he lost it. So Elomai, mokum is not simin. There's no raya. On the side of the river. Omar Mori, my time Omar Rabbanon rakta dinar lo have a simin. Why is that not considered? If mokim is a simin, why is the side of the river not considered a good mokim simin? We say to the person who lost it, like you lost it over there. Lots of people put their barrels at the side of the river, and someone else lost it. That's that you know the place. There's no raya that is yours. Omar of Mori. Some people say Rav Mori said, my time not to rack the side of the rivers nor simin. Any place is not considered a simin. Why? We tell him, like you lost this item and this in this street. Maybe your friend also lost the same item on the same street, and therefore Mokoim in general is not simin. Not only the Rakta Dinara and the Sika Damri, any place is not considered a simin. Someone who found Zephes that has no simin Bema Atzarta in the threshold, in the place, the gat where you squeeze olives under wine. Also, the Kemedirav, you can keep it, take it to yourself. Chazid, I have a komechasem or mehases, he saw that he wasn't sure about it. Amalei, you're not sure about it? Zil ploigle dechir brimine, go give half of it to my son. He'll be very happy to take half. Basically, he told him, you're lucky you found it, keep it. Says the Gemara, Lema Kosova Rav Mokom Ne'avesim. And Rav holds Mokom Ne'avesim, because if not, you denounce he found Zephes, and the person who lost it would say it was in the pressing hole, in the gas. Elomai holds Mokom Ne'avesim. Omar of Abba, no, there's no raya. Mishum Yush Baidim Nogubo, the Chose, the Kochkatche, Boichalfe. In this case, it's talking about where he knew there was Yush, because it's talking about that this item, the Zephes had on it lots of like stuff growing on it that only happens after something sitting for a long, long time. So he knew that was sitting there for a long time. Elomai, the Bailim were a long time ago were Misiaish, and that's why he gave it back. But maybe normally Mokim is a simin. Rab Shimon ben Elazar Kol Kli and Puri Chayav La'achris. Says in the Mishnah. Says more Mayan Puri. What are these and Puri they Chayav La'achris? Omar Vido Mashmul Kelim Chadoshim Shloi Savosam Ayin. New Kelim. Sorry, Rab Shimon Elazar says Kol Kli and Puri Ein Chayav La'achris. Says like, why is them Puriya? Omar Yudah Bashmul Kelim Chadoshim Shloi Savosam Ayin. New Kelim, they don't recognize them yet. Says the Gemara Shaila, Echidomi, what are you talking about? It is the simin. If there is a simin on it, Kiloi Savos and Ayin might have it. So what? But maybe he remembers where the simin is. The less be simin, if there's no simin, Kisavos and Ayin, even if they wouldn't be new, might have it, why should he give it back? It's Dovashain be simin. So the Gemara Loilom, the less be simin. Really, there's no simin on it. All the Chorif, there's no simin, even if it's Savos and Ayin, you shouldn't give it back. So the Gemara nafkemina, that if it would be Savosa Ma'ayin and they wouldn't be new, La Dura Letzurber Barabonon, to give it back to Talmud Chacham, but because by Talmud Chacham there's a special din that even if he has no siman, just enough that you recognize his item, you give it to him back. Savosa Ma'ayin, if it was it's not new, Kimle Bigavayu, the Talmud Chacham could recognize them and he could have Tvias Eine. If he has Tvias Eine, if he recognizes it. If it's new, he doesn't recognize it, doesn't have Tvias Ein on it, and you won't give it back to him. Shame in the name of Shmuel. These three cases of Vidu Rabbanon de Mishani Be'omilayu, it's a normal for Talmud Chacham to lie about. The Masechta, if you ask a Talmud Chacham, do you know Baba Mציעא? So even if he knows, he might say no, because he wants to be on of. Bepuria, if you ask him if he was Mishamash Mitoso, if he had relations with his wife, he also lies because it's sneers, it's a nice thing to discuss. And the Maharsha over here says Bepuria means on Purim. If you ask him if you know the difference between Or Omon and Baruch Mordechai, and he says he doesn't, so even if he knows the difference, he might lie and say he doesn't know the difference. Ayin Bar Maharsha, but it's like to us because we are Purim today. It's Purim today. The third case, if the rabbi stayed by someone and then people who were not so good people asked him, how was it by Mr. Joe? So he says, nah, he's not such a good host because he doesn't want that these bad people should bother Mr. Joe. My nafkemina, what a nafkemina that we say about these three things that people, Talmud Chacham is allowed to lie. To know if we could give it back, Aveda with Tvias Ein by recognize it. If we know about this Talmud Chacham, the loy mishane ele be'ani class, only about these things that we play Dark Shalom his mishane. Marginally, then we could give it him back b'Tvias Ein. If he lies about other things, loy marginally, because he's not considered someone that we could trust about, and therefore we don't give it back b'Tvias Ein. Ma'zutra Chasida. Agniv leikasa the kaspa mushpiza. Mazutra the chassid got stolen a silver cup from his host. Chazdi leo barbe beirav. He saw this tamid in the yeshiva the mashi yodei He washed his hand and he used the towel of his friend. He used his friend's cloak to dry his hands. Omas Rav Chisda said, Marzutra said, this is a ganev. He doesn't care about his friend's moment and he uses it as a towel, uses his frack as a towel. Kafte, they hit him, they forced him, and he was moided that he stole the silver cup. Everyone should have a very freilich Purim. We should do all the mitzvahs of Purim, and we should do all for the big koyach tefillah that exists on this day. Good Purim.